Well, Mike, do you see this? Before the break, how many people we had in here? And now look at it. They came for your demo. Okay. I like to turn my own handles. And the problem I had with a lot of, for years and everything was that happened. And I didn't like that because usually I've just sharpened the gouge and the bowl gouge, and it always lands tip first. And I have a concrete floor in my shop. And so I got to go back to the grinder. So what I've done with the belt sander, you just take a little bit, a little flat here and a little flat there. It doesn't roll. They don't roll at all. And what I like is I've got the, this one's glued in. I get these tool inserts. You have the 2 set screws here from Cindy Grosda, and they're like 15 bucks. They come, let's see, this is the 3/8 inch. This is a half, and then there's a 5/8 that she has to. Cindy, gosh, everybody sells them. Trent, Bosch, they all come from the same place. Let's see, Doug Thompson sells them, but these are great. These inserts. What I do with these is, this is just anodized aluminum, but I just scuff that up and double, 2-part epoxy, shove it in there with the holes on the bottom or whatever, so that they don't fill up with crud. But anyway, I like them. Not fancy, but they work real well, and I can make them any length. I like them so that they go along my forearm. So if I'm parting or cutting off, it's stable. Okay. Anybody know what happened here? This is a Harbor Freight angle grinder that I bought probably 10 years ago. And, literally, it was less than $10. I use this to sharpen lawnmower blades and do some texturing and stuff on pieces. Anyway, this handle was plastic, shattered, broke. I mean, bad plastic. Anyway, it shattered. So I thought, well, it's 1/4-20, go on either side. I turned a handle for it. So I guess I'm a wood turner. Anyway, that's my story.
Well, in addition to doing a little bit of wood turning, I do a little bit of wood carving, but more than wood carving, I collect wood carving tools. And there's a lot of good commercial tools out there, but I don't care much for the handles. So I take exotic woods, make them to fit my hand. These, it's got a flat spot on it, so they don't roll off the table very much either. And also make some knives. And this is, like a 2-center turning, and then I sand it after I get done. So wood carving tool handles.
So I made a handle. Not sure what I'm going to put in, probably a rat tail file or something, but it fits the hand really nice. Little embellishment on it. I do have a question that maybe somebody can answer me. I remember in Little League Baseball, when you swung a wooden bat, you had the grain against the ball. If you turned it where the side grain hit the ball, you're going to break the bat. What about putting a tool in the wooden handle? I like to put it in so that I have the grain running vertically with the tool. But I noticed some of the tools that I've purchased, they have it the other way. So I'm not really sure. Any input on which way it should go? Never broke a tool handle. Well, I have shovel handles and axes, but yeah. And that's my handle.
All right. So last month I brought in a cocktail smoker and muddler set, if you remember. And if anybody can guess what the theme is with this handle, what is this handle? Any guesses? What was that? That's right. This is a beer tap handle. So it's got a 1/4 thread in the base, which is the standard thread for homebrew beer tappers. If you know anybody who has like a kegerator or even a bar that has beer taps, it's just a standard 1/4 thread. And so there's a lot of other kits out there, and you may have a mandrel that takes a 1/4 post on it, so you can turn yourself a beer tap handle. This is walnut. I filled some voids in it with epoxy to make it look kind of cool, and added some very classy Chiefs red glitter to make it festive. And I've sold a few of these. So that's a beer tap handle. No, they like them short. Homebrew guys. So that's my beer. No. Oh, really? So there's a couple of homebrew stores called Bacchus and Barleycorn, and they sell to home brewers. And I have a couple of planks next to their cash register with beer tappers on them. Not terribly lucrative, but it's fun. So, all right, thanks.
So I bought this steel rod a couple years ago, and it's a burnishing rod for sharpening card scrapers. And it came with a little brass ferrule, and I was supposed to make a handle for it, and I have never made a handle for it up until now. So I finally made a handle. It's actually been glued on to this piece of cherry for like 5 years. So I finally actually turned it, and it works. Sits in there real nice. And the cherry had a little bit of a soft spot, so I decided, I'll make a flat, thinking that it wouldn't roll off the table. Right, Mike? Except that the steel bar is a lot heavier, so it still rolls. So I need to make another flat so that it gets really flat. But now, when I need to burnish a card scraper, which is currently never, I have a handle on my burnishing tool.
Same tool, same story. Little cherry. I mean, a walnut. No, it's not right. A maple burl. Get them right. Get my maple straight. And it's just a little 1/8" rod drilled in a hole. Put super glue in, and you need to take it out, heat it up. That's for burnishing your scrapers or whatnot.
Basically the same kits have either the back scratcher or the shoehorn, extended shoehorn, with just about an 8 to 10" handle situation. The extended handles shoehorns sell real good at Tallgrass for all us seniors situation. So this is just marble wood handle.
Woodcrafter threw them on sale this month, so I made a handle for a pizza cutter. And they also threw Bolivian rosewood on sale. And the thing that's nice about their kit, they put on so you can they put a ferrule in here, so consequently you can screw it and unscrew it, so you can clean it without damaging the handle.
So this one right here is it's a pigtail. If anybody barbecues, these things are so awesome. If you're flipping wings or anything on the barbecue, I put a longer handle on it because I've got a bigger barbecue, but for flipping chicken and wings and steaks, you can't beat these things. I got it at Craft Supplies. They're called pig flippers. And then so I put a handle on it. And then Ruth Niles, the bottle openers. I guess tonight's kind of a beer theme, but the bottle that is the best bottle opener you can get. For when you get the aluminum foil on the Modelo beers and you always got to fight with them, these ends, I forgot what they were. I think if you buy, I don't know, 20, they get down to like $6 a piece or something, but came out pretty neat.
Well, this was a payback project. My wife is the one who gave me membership as a Christmas present. And so one of the first things I turned was this coffee scoop, because she drinks coffee by the gallon and I don't drink it at all. So this I turned this handle for this coffee scoop.
I wasn't here for the demo last month, so I heard that we were supposed to do a handle last Monday. I have a couple of small tools that could use a handle, and so I took a piece of flute wood and drilled it for the small tool. And once I decide what goes in it, I'll finish the back of it to an appropriate shape for the tool.
Yeah. This is one of the first handles I ever made. I made it for this particular tool. I bought 3 of them at a tool auction. So I bought 3 of these tools. And they used to be, well, they used to be longer at both ends, but they were the same. And so I had to make a handle that would permit you to stick one end of the tool, the steel into the tool. So this is hollowed down to about here, I think. And I got this attachment from Ed Maxwell. He gave it to me. I don't know why. So I bought 3 of those, and I've got 1 and about 2/3 left. This is a, give me a second. What's your name? Kevin Neely tool. Okay. And I started out making these with handles that you could cover with one hand. And this is so much better to make a nice big one. This one also started out, I made it out of walnut. Its greatest diameter was about this, and it was only about that long. And this again is just, it's just glory. Big long handle to hang on to. This is a 5/8 inch with American measurement, 5/8 inch piece of steel. It's a black handle, 15% vanadium. I got it when we were still upstairs at 67th Street during an auction. And this is what I put it on. And it's very nice, nice and heavy. This is jute. I bought it for some purpose. I don't know what. And as I wound this on here, I put 2-part epoxy in front of it. So this is all glued down onto the steel, and it doesn't feel cold in the winter. And this one, I didn't make this handle, but what I did do, can you look in, get in real close at it? There you go. It's got 2, what do you call those things? Shims on it. It's got a round hole, And of course, nothing about this tool is round, so it doesn't stay in very well. It vibrates. And so I made a shim to go on each side of it and hammer them home, and it works pretty nicely.
Okay. I realized Saturday, hey, there's a challenge coming up on Monday, and was in here, and I've been trying to find ways to use the bat blanks that Mike's been grabbing from Jaw Bats. And in my mind, somewhere I thought of a cup, ball and cup toy. And so I turned this one the other day, and it works pretty good. I put some color into it to just give it a little dynamic, because it's just a ball and cup. My ball, when I was turning it, my sphere popped out of the jam chuck that I had in, and it kind of rolled itself on in between the jam chuck and the tool rest and made some interesting cuts into it. So I went home and just burned them all in, and it made an interesting little ball there. This item is called a Kendala, and this is actually a purchased toy from Lucky Lad. And I used it as my template to try to duplicate, and did pretty well on everything. The piece of wood that I had, I knew I was going to be about a ½ inch shorter, and I also modified the ends so that I had a little bit of I had the right angle so that I could put a dovetail chuck on both ends of here, so that I could easily grab it then and divot in the ends of that piece. Slid them together and drilled a hole through, and took a 1/8 inch piece of brass and pushed that through the hole to give me a connection between everything and give me a nice smooth place to put the string, and then decorated up the ball. But what I was most pleased with was the basic overall shape, and the putting it all together kind of came around and worked out. So fun trip. But as I was turning this one, I realized, hey, I'm turning a handle, a useful handle. So I had my challenge piece. This was all just friction fit put together, so I just had that in there by friction. But that was my challenge. And I think is that everybody on the table? I think everybody's got a ticket from the challenge. So we need to draw for the challenge, and I also failed to get the drawing going for the dollar sweepstakes, so we'll get that going.
Okay. Let's see here.
No. $406. I don't even know where my other piece is.
You got 406 in your pocket.
I got 407, so somebody's got 406 right ahead of me. I got 407. No. We'll get draw again. 414. All right, Sue, you're getting the plastic insert there, and I want to see your end result when you use that. Okay.
Anybody has any finishing questions?
Yeah. Okay, so we got our drawing for the challenge, and before we get to the show and tell table, we need to draw for the dollar sweepstakes. Mike, can you have somebody draw from there? Okay. This is for the face shield. I'll deliver it to Kevin.
I gotta count.
Oh, okay. Make sure he stays honest. There's one in there, isn't there?
Okay.
All right, find another honest person. That's a chore.
Bill is that. We can trust Bill. Okay.
The number is
395.
395. Hey, I'm a winner. Yes, I am.
Good deal.
All right.
Yeah. Show us how that face shield fits.
Okay, I'm gonna finish the whole meeting with face shield on. Lou, you are my son, Lou. Oh, I am your father. That's okay. Enough of that. Let's go on to the show and tell. If you've got a show and tell item up there, come on up and I'll leave a mic for you.
I hadn't planned to go to the AAW, and I didn't know of anybody else in the club going except Rick Bywater, and he happened to call me the last day that they had the reduced registration and asked if I wanted to tag along. So I made kind of a last minute decision to go. And when I hung up the phone, I thought, crap, I need to do something. And so I'd had this idea for quite a while, and I thought, well, what am I going to turn it out of? Because I don't want to turn it out of oak or walnut or honey locust or something. And so I had a basswood tree that was needing to get cut down. So next day I went and cut the basswood tree, cut it down, hauled it up, turned the outside shape that I was going to need for this based on what the picture is over there. Couldn't hollow it to save myself. The wood was so wet on the inside and stringy. Tried every kind of end grain tool I had, and I couldn't hollow more than a place bigger than my fist. So I chucked that, and then the next day got a piece of sycamore and turned the shape and hollowed it. And then, and this is just a month before the show, or less than a month before the show. And so, so anyway, got the shape hollowed. The wood was still green, but it fit inside of a 5-gallon bucket, and I had enough desiccant beads to fill it up with desiccant beads, left it in there for a couple days, pulled it out, and it was bone dry when I pulled it out. And so then I went fishing for a week, and I came back and then started cutting this up and started grinding it down and shaping it from there. But it was kind of a fun project because it had to have a ring that went all the way around here and then a ring that went around here in order to have something for this and then something to cut the water image out of the top with. So now there are some pictures over on the table that kind of shows the step-by-step on it. So anyway, that's mine.
I made a bowl. I hadn't made a bowl in a long time. This came from a neighbor's willow tree that he took down in his front yard. And I thought it was really almost the most boring wood because it's very, very white and there's no grain in it. So I have another neighbor who owns a wood stain business that makes very bright and vibrant wood stains. It's called Unicorn Spit. And she lives down the block from me and sent me home with armloads full of this stuff. And so I decided to color the outside of it kind of the way that I see some milk paint bowls done. But so I layered up some greens and blacks and yellows to just try to see what I could do. I'd never done that before. And then I just did a spray lacquer on the inside of the bowl. So I hadn't made a bowl before, or I'd made a bowl. It had been at least a year since I'd made a bowl. So bowl.
I got two burls. Somebody brought them in, wanted me to turn them. This was just a hunk. I don't know exactly, they're walnut. I don't know exactly what you call this this state with it has these fissures and cracks in it. I've had stuff like it before. The black stuff is very, very crunchy. The wood itself is this one is dry. And so the wood's fairly soft, but the black stuff is crunchy, and I don't know why it's there. I discussed this with him, and together we made a decision that we're going to leave this live edge, and it was going to be left fairly thick. This was I didn't want to throw it away, and so this was a chunk that I cut out of it, and then I hollowed it. It's hollowed kind of like Ellsworth used to do. If you ever see his original magazine article in the Fine Woodworking in '78, he has a bunch of them that are this shape. And the inside actually gets kind of thick because of this concavity right here. I didn't want to show light. And it's kind of interesting as it fits together. All of this stuff only has one coat of finish on it. It'll take at least two more, but I won't have these next week, I hope, or next month. This was fun. This is another burl that somebody brought me. Can't see any. Oh, there we go. Think about a corn dog where the stick goes all the way through. So it sticks out of both ends. And that's what this is. This is the branch that was on the inside. And it's only 2.5, 3 inches, sticks out both sides. And then the hot dog is this, the heartwood, and the bun is the sapwood. And that's exactly what this looked like. It's this, goes all the way around the branch. And what I did was split it in half and made 2 cord sets of natural edge bowls. I got 5 out of 1. That one over there only has 5 in it. And this one had 7 and almost 8, but the 8 had light coming through, so it didn't count. I really like this wood. It's beautiful. That's all.
Some of that wonderful Overland Park ash they're cutting down and willing to give up real easy nowadays. I saw this design kind of as an Art Deco piece that was at some auction site that was on that. It's technically it's a weed pot, but at Brookside Toy and Hobby, I buy these little inserts, flower inserts. And they're like 50 cents. So this could actually have a live flower in it.
So I'm starting to gear my thoughts towards the Irish festival and using those bat cutoffs in any way that I can, and coming up with different ways to embellish them, because it is pretty plain wood. This is the first time I've ever turned a captive ring goblet with a lid, but I decided that worked pretty good. This little box was turned out of one of the smaller pieces. And then I put a little bit of texture on it and some color just to kind of give it some interest. This box was the first time I tried this kind of duplicating a technique called the Jerusalem stone on the lower portion of a box that was just a bunch of beads. And I kind of like the way that turned out. I've got some other ideas I'd like to carry on with that. And it led me to this one, which in the end, I didn't like as much. I think if I would have been a little bit more careful with the shapes and maybe went to more of a Indian or a Native American themed shapes, it would have been more interesting than the oddball shapes that I put on there. But it was still, the idea was that the outer rings were breaking off at portions and the inside was exposing, and the inside was to look like more like stone. And then this little box was one that was fashioned after something that Ali Alvasara showed us how to turn one day. And this fell off the table over there and the edge broke, but that'll be an easy glue job. But then I painted on it, and it's hard to tell, but the rings on the center of that, I tilted the piece in the chuck so that it would only turn on portion of it and not on another portion of it, and then did it again and did another ring. So it isn't, I intended it for not to be a complete ring around on the inside. These outside rings were completely all the way around, but painting dark and then cutting through it to expose the lights, kind of a fun thing to do. So all different ideas. This was a bangle, and with it probably took me 30 minutes to turn the bangle, and then another 30 minutes to wood burn KC Irish Fest into it. So something that'll maybe attract somebody's eye. But all ideas, just trying to small things that we could get out on the table for sale was my intent. So.
This is the story of a black maple tree. And they started out, I bought a burl, and the burl originally was 600 pounds. I didn't buy all of it. I just bought 3 pieces. And so the third piece I got was this piece of wood, which was shaped kind of like a pyramid. It wasn't complete. I knew it wasn't going to be round. And so I said, that's going to be a problem. So make a long story short, we turned it to shape and then rebuilt the wood that would have been there with epoxy. And the way I did that was to use an outside mold before I turned anything on the inside. And then basically glued that portion of the wood that I had onto the holes that were there, and then cut a hole in the mold and put a neck on it about 1 inch in diameter and 1 inch tall. And then that's where I poured about 1 liter of resin in, and this is on the lathe. And so after I got the resin in the bowl, I went in and put in hot glue and a little lid on the neck, and then turned the bowl over so that the resin would run where I wanted it to. And then you did that on about 5 occasions, and it got the resin to the outside of the wood. And that way you didn't have to fill up the whole resin and then saturate it and then turn it all out. Well, the only other complication was there was a mountain of ants that lived in this, and they were carpenter ants, and they had been consuming. So on the outside of this, you'll see where the run was over to the opening, and then inside they got real busy. And that was quite a job doing that. But I did break down and buy a Trent Bosch stabilizer to get this thing hauled out because you can get your hand in there. So the other challenge was, well, it had a little bark on the bottom of it. So I went over to Westlakes and I found a 14-inch drip pan, round with a lip, just this size. So we put that on the bottom and cast that, and that gave me a place to put the chuck. Well, that was all great and wonderful. We turned it, and I had a 5-inch chuck on this. And so somewhere along the way, we got a real good catch. And that was not good because the resin on the back cracked. And I sort of had it on there yet. It didn't come off, but I could tell that's done. So I scratched my head a little bit. Since this was still running on true, I turned the 7-inch circle out, cut out some wood till I got down to near the 5-inch chuck. And then I got a set of 7-inch jaws and put them on, and we went on about our business. And that was, fine. I did find that for sale signs, plastic for sale signs are just great for making molds for PVs, for epoxy. So we made a circle, got hot glue gun out, put the circle on, then we put the ring around, and then we cast this part of it. So all in all, I got through with this piece done. I said, that's pretty good. I sanded it, brought it back to, about 300 grit, and then did a clear coat on the whole thing, inside and outside, and covered up the wood and the cover. So that's how this came to be. And while I was casting this plastic, I had about a pint left over, and I said, what am I going to do with that? And there was a little cup there, and I thought, well, I'll just pour it in there. So something will come around, I'll use it. And it turned out that I needed a lid, and that button just fits the center of this. So I turned the little piece here, and you can keep the demons and the snakes and the scorpions in there. So that's the story for there. It turns out that black maple is not really very native to our area here. It's mostly on the East Coast, throughout the Midwest and so forth till you get to Missouri. And there's a little bitty swath that goes out into Kansas. So that's how we got a black maple tree. And this is part of the tree that we made that from. And this limb got broken off at least 15 years ago. And when it broke off, it kept growing natural rings for the year's growth. And I thought, that's just got to be left intact. So that's how I did that. And I just turned this, and this has had a couple of voids in it. So I put a little blue maple in there thinking, blue epoxy, because maples make sugar, it ought to have something running out of that hole. And so that's how that came to be. And it just had one coat of clear epoxy over the whole thing. And it didn't do much to polish it up. I just said, be happy. So that's the story.
Live? Yes, I am. Okay, I think that brings us to the end of our meeting tonight. I really appreciated how many challenge pieces we had this month. So hopefully we'll have just as many angels filling that table next month, right? So if you wouldn't mind, as we're leaving, before we leave, if we can get the chairs put up, and I think we get some of the equipment pulled out, that'll help them out for tomorrow. Thank everybody for joining us tonight, and look forward to seeing you at the picnic, hopefully on Saturday. If you haven't got it on your calendar, put it on your calendar. Yeah, we weren't there last Saturday. It's this Saturday. All right, we'll see y'all. Thank you. And thank you for everybody who came on Zoom.